Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting us here. This is actually the first time that we've all shared a platform together. In fact, it's the first time that some of us have met, so it is a slightly daunting but interesting experience to be here. I'm sure by the early hours of May the 7th we'll all be thoroughly fed up to the back teeth of each other, and the lecture will be even more fed up to the back teeth of us. But today it's a pleasure to be here. Now, we've been asked, as Polly said, to envisage what Cambridge might look like in 2020. I actually find this slightly daunting, because as Polly said, my background is education and pensions, and obviously with Tony on the panel. Actually, one of my Christmas presents was Tony's book about how many light bulbs is it to change the world? How many good ideas is it
how many light bulbs does it take to change a planet?
To change a planet. I'm only on number 14, I think, but there's 99 ideas in it, all of which I've agreed with so far, I must say. As an historian, I always like to start by looking backwards rather than looking forwards. And I must say, actually, when Irma said, can you come and talk about Cambridge in the 20s, I was rather hoping we'd be talking about the 1920s rather than the 2020s. But anyway, here we are. And I first came to know Cambridge well in the early 90s, 1993, so close to 20 years ago. And since then, much of the city hasn't changed at all. King's College Chapel, the Round Church, the Guildhall, they all stand as they always have done. But away from the centre, there has been an enormous amount of change over the last couple of decades. I think, for example, of all the new builds that have gone up, often rather small, pokey flats with limited infrastructure, how congestion has got worse in many areas, how the city centre has become more uniform in terms of the shops and facilities available, and indeed how some communities across the city, especially outside of the centre, seem to have lost part of their sense of belonging. I don't think Cambridge is a better or a worse place than it was when I first came to know it, but it is a different place. And I think if we continue on the path we've been on, then we will face a number of problems by 2020. We're pushed for time, so let me just mention two. First, I think our transport problems will get even worse. We're stymied by the age and makeup of our city in improving transport, but we should not make a bad situation worse. And I think as a city we've been far too relaxed, for example, by the appalling cycle parking, by the accident rates on the A14. Though of course I guess by 2020 the guided bus should just about be up and running. Now, secondly, by 2020 I think our overall quality of life will have deteriorated markedly if our region goes on being treated rather badly, as I believe it has been by central government. If we take this region for granted, then it will quickly become a less attractive place to invest and a less safe place to live. When I was visiting Microsoft the other day, I said to them, what is it that makes Cambridge such a good working environment for you and your researchers? And I was expecting them to say the availability of credit or the links with the university, but they didn't. They actually said what you hear on the doorstep: the schools, the hospitals, the quality of life. And if we want to compete with places like Silicon Valley, then high-tech companies have got to be interested in us as a region. And I think Cambridge should be at the heart of the technological improvements that we need to actually promote sustainable development. And that does actually mean thinking about quality of life issues as well as more specific technical ones. Now, if we were to avoid the pessimistic outlook that I've just skated over, then to my mind, I think Cambridge needs to be more in control of its own destiny. And I think if we want a brighter future in 2020, here's 5 sort of suggestions as the way I'd like the city to. Actually, I'll make it 3 because I'm going to be over. First, I think we need to give local communities more control. Only, if you ask people, only less than around a third of people say they feel they have any sense of influence in the decisions in their local area. And that means reducing the amount of money that comes from central government to local authorities that's ring-fenced. I'm being looked at, one more minute. It means, in my opinion, giving people powers against things like garden grabbing, so they really do feel a sense of ownership. And it means getting rid of things like the Infrastructure Planning Commission, which strips local authorities of the say on major planning applications. Secondly, as I've already hinted, I think we need to massively improve our transport facilities. Most people, of course, don't use only one form of transport. We need to improve the cycling facilities in Cambridge. We need to improve the A14. And of course, we do need to improve the bus network as well. Given that we're being visionary rather than thinking about the current fiscal crisis, I would also like to see much more thought being given to a decent rail link between Oxford and Cambridge, so that that cluster between London, Oxford and Cambridge can be more developed. And then thirdly, and here I will end, as I'm about to have the microphone snatched from me, I think we're very good in Cambridge at churning out eminent professors. What we're less good at is churning out people, skilled technicians, if you like. I was at the Cambridge Regional College the other day, and they have a very excellent smart build facility for building green buildings. And I think one of the things we should think about is actually targeting some of our skills budget towards green jobs and green skills. Thank you.